YouTube? Welcome back to another Teardrop trailer build video. I'm slowly getting down towards the end of my actual usable video, since after about the framing was done, I stopped taking a whole lot of videos, so this will be probably second to last of the big videos. So in this video I'm working a little bit on the framing, so I'm getting things taken down so that I can get ready to route the corners. So one of the things that needs to be done in this build is that the plywood on the edges is going to need to overlap the steel frame by just a little bit. So one of the things that needs to be done is this frame needs to be moved outwards by about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch with a routed groove down the entire length, so that way the whole thing can shift over, and when the entire top gets pulled off it can slide down over the frame. At this point, again, I've been skipping videos occasionally. Here I'm just starting to do the framing now. So the sides have been built, and now it's time to start adding in the top members. So I've used a pair of clamps to hold the piece of wood up where I need it, and then I'm gluing it into place, or getting some Gorilla Glue in there and then screwing it in. The Gorilla Glue is really good. It foams up and kind of expands, and I don't care if there's a few drips or anything like that. What we really want is good adhesion there, because we don't want this thing falling apart. These are 2x2s that I'm using for this portion of it. The rest of it are going to be sort of 1.5 by 2s, I guess. True 1 inch by 1.5 inch. So the insulation is 1.5 inches thick, but not all the spars need to be 1.5 inches wide. So these are 2x2s, true 2x2s, but the rest of the spars will be 1 inch wide. I did that because I can get more of them out of a single 2x4. So here, since I'm working up high, I wanted to get things down a little bit. And at this point, still, it's light enough that I can actually raise it and lower it myself. Once again, a little bit of glue, the 2 supports on either end, pre-drill and screw each one of these. What I didn't want to do is risk any chance of splitting the wood while doing this and ruining the entire frame. So every single one of these operations is done with a pre-drill. Now is where I actually need the 1x2s, so we're making good use of the table saw. This is a table saw from a buddy of mine, and I'm putting it to strenuous good use. I've also got a pusher to be safe with these things that are kind of scary. And that's the thermal cutout. Since the thermal cutout has tripped, I might as well give it some time to clean up all the extra sawdust that I've got before I start it back up again. I'm going to rinse and repeat. I'm cutting up probably 4 or 5 of these 2x4s into 1 inch wide strips. A normal 2x4, cut out again. Each one of these 2x4s is about 3.5 inches wide, so you can get 3 1 inch wide strips out of each. Once we've got a whole bunch of 1 inch wide strips, it's back to adding more framing. Add in our clamps, a little bit of pre-drilling, glue it, and screw it. The places in which I'm adding these frame members here are a little bit specific in that I tried to put them exactly where it would be necessary to have the skin wrap up and over, so you'll kind of see that in other videos, I think. So, nice quick unboxing. This is the sunroof that I'm test fitting into place. So I want to put the sunroof sunroof, kind of just a skylight It's not going to open or anything like that, but it's nice to be able to have. I found later on that I usually just keep foam in there, but it's really nice to have at night and be able to see the summer stars. So just marking out exactly where I want the 1x2. I call it a 1x2. It's an actual 1 inch by 1.5 inch. This is a little bit sketchy here. This member that I'm resting it upon has not been drilled in yet. But it was just force fitted. But here I'm pre-drilling the holes for it. And before I actually put the thing in, so I'm getting the clamps in place, and I'm starting to put it in, but one of the things I'm going to make sure I do, so this is actually not screwing them all in all the way. This is just kind of getting them set. So there's just a little tiny bit of screw poking out in each one to make sure that the light fits in, or the skylight fits in. I'm just doing a quick test fit here. I've now added in the roof vent fan. This comes in really handy later on to have. I'm just testing out the current draw at different settings. But I'm going to let past me talk a little bit.
I think I've got most of the roof spars in place. What I just need to do is put in a spar here and a spar here for the skylight. And then I probably need to do a cross member here for the door. And then I need to put the window cross members in as well. These are just sitting here for right now, just so I don't lose them. I'm mirroring everything. I think I said this before, but I have the exact same opening on this side. Even though I'm not putting a door on the passenger side, I'm leaving it there so that in the future, if I want to put one in, I can. I need to start doing some 1x2s. Probably the main ones that I need to do are these guys for the back galley. Maybe might need to do a single stud coming from here up to here or something. I don't know. Just because of the weight of the galley, because this is going to be the kitchen here. So, yeah. Well, I got plenty of 1x2s. I cut a whole bunch of them up, so we got what we need.
So at this point, there's a little bit of a gap in my video, but you can see I've started to finish out the framing and I've got the electricals done. I've got a little bit of a video here talking about what I've done, so I think I might just let that play as well.
So today I've been working on electricals and the last bits of framing that needed to get done. You can see I've run all the electricals over here, so what to do about or how to cover this. So all the 12 volt wiring comes out of this 12 gauge red and black wire. There's two 120 volt pigtails that are plugged into the inverter. One goes here. This is probably a big no-no in the sense that I've got 12 volt electrical here and 120 volt here. But I've been routing all the wiring and everything is routed. So there's one wire here that will go over, up, and follows the curve and then goes over to the fan. The blue box right there is for a solar panel. I'm not intending to mount a solar panel on it immediately, but I've got a wire in here at least that will be unused, and that then also follows back here to this bundle so that I can wire up a solar panel. But until I mount a solar panel on there or I care enough, I'm just going to leave it taped off. So I have two 12 volts there. I have a low volt or low current 12 volt supply here. This switch is for the interior lights. So the interior lights are going to be an LED light strip that goes around the inside. And so I'll do like quarter round and then point the lights upwards so that it gets more diffused throughout. So that's this wire right here. So if I were to short these, I could actually go to my power supply and watch it short out if that switch is turned on. So I've also got it all wired up here for the interior and exterior lights. So this is going to be exterior, this is going to be interior. So this interior switch, if I come back, oh, this one's sealed. this interior, the switch that's right here, comes out and goes to this guy right here. And these are going to be these little 12 volt, I don't know if I have one out here. I think it's on the bench. Oh, no, there it is. In amongst all my junk here. It's going to be one of these little lights. Okay, I guess Bixby decided to fire up, stupid Bixby. This interior light is going to be right here and kind of point at an angle so one person can sleep, the other can read a book. So it'll be angled roughly about like that. Same thing over there, this one. And then this same white light will go right here as an exterior light. So I've drilled out a little extra 1-inch hole so I can stuff extra wire in so that I don't have to worry about ever rerunning this wire ever again. Gives me a little bit of extra slack. In the back, I have then the the wires that go towards the back. So the white power cord and the radio and the galley all come up this way, and I've separated out. Originally, I first started running the 120 right alongside in the same hole, but I figured that's probably a dumb idea. Probably violates some code. Anyway, it goes back through, comes back down into here. And so over here I have a 12 volt switch that will power this. And this, I can't really see it, the lighting here sucks. I've got this diamond weave protector on here. And the idea is that this protector, the hinge is going to be here for the galley, so this is going to be the exposed wiring that then goes to the galley lid light. So there's be underneath the lid here, when it flips up, there'll be a light somewhere up over here to illuminate the galley area. So that's what this switch will be for. And then it tees off here and goes down. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. This 12 volts comes down here, goes in, down into here. And I haven't really run this one, but it's really not too hard. And so the idea is that I can put an electric fridge or something else in here if I need something with 12 volts. So I have 120 volts from, 500 watts from the inverter. And then the other 12 volt line goes over here. It comes through here and down and goes to this side. And there's going to be a pair of Anderson power poles on this side with my workbench in order to do a ham radio setup. So that's the current plan for that. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then one of these wires up here comes over here and goes in over to the fan. I haven't screwed the fan in or done anything with it, but there's just a little short pigtail here. And I'm going to put a pair of Anderson power poles on this as well, and then I'll chop this short and put some power poles on it as well. Or maybe I won't chop it short and I'll just tuck all the rest in. I don't know. Doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to, around the inside, I'm going to use these WS8212s. So I need to get a little tiny electrical box to put in here to put a controller in there. So yeah, electrical. Basically done with the electricals. And I think I'm basically done with the framing, at least all the major stuff. Now, one thing to note, I've said how scary Mr. Scary Chopper Fingers Saw is, but I never thought I'd ever use this feature of a double miter. So here I've got it set to 20 degrees angle, so it's angled that way and angled here. And that's because I just finished putting in these. So you'll notice that the back galley wall is angled right here, like that. But then I also wanted to put in some bracing to give this thing side to side stability. So these required actually a double miter. And I'm actually kind of proud at how well they turned out. They turned out perfectly. And I incorrectly chopped this off where I should have left it flat because the plywood's going to come up this way and then terminate. So over here on this corner I never did that. And over here I never did that, but for some reason I did it on this one thinking, oh, I need to make it flush with this. I don't. So I didn't do that here, so it won't be supported here, but it won't be supported elsewhere as well. So anyway, I haven't done a lot of video for today's build just because I really wanted to listen to some music while I did stuff. So I cut pieces of 2x2 down here and I angled them and curved them. So the whole entire, so this curve is matched all the way to the back and fully supported. So I think I am going to start doing the interior skinning. The other thing I need to do is I've got the furniture bolts. It's these guys. So these bolt guys, what's going to happen is I'm going to drill, this is a previous hole, but I'm going to drill here and then drill a couple feet over that way and every couple of feet all the way down along here, and at least 1 or 2, maybe 2, 3, 4 bolts there. Use 5/16 bolts. So I've got some, what are these things? These are 5/16, 18 by, come on, focus, 3.5. So the frame here, there we go. And the bolts will, there's gonna be a washer on the back side of this as well. So they might stick up just a little bit into the foam. That's okay. And wherever I put those bolts, I'm probably also going to put a small piece of wood or something to hold, with a bigger hole in it, but just to hold that bolt in place. It might be a piece of metal or something, or I might just take the bolt or the nut. So if the nut's coming up through here, I think the furniture nut might be there, and then I might take a pair of screws and drill them into the wood. That way, when you push these bolts up through, you don't want that furniture nut popping out into your foam, because that would be bad. Because once this is sealed up and it's got plywood and foam on both sides, there's no way to put those nuts back in if they push out. So you want to have some way of preventing this bolt from, because you might be, it might not be a perfect fit. It should be pretty close. But if it's binding at all, this thing will tend to push as it's going up and push the nut out if it doesn't thread perfectly with the nut all the way. So that's one thing to be concerned about. So I've just been adding in random things. So there's a few little random struts. This is here so that I can put in a little tiny shelf for a cell phone. I have something special planned for this strut, which is why there's one here but not over there. Let's see. Both doors are fully put in. Oh, that's what I need to do too. I need to put in the curves here. So I need to get some 2x4 material and cut the curves so that the corners are fully supported when the door gets pushed in, because the door clamps in place. And if there's just foam or whatever right here and no wood supporting it, the door clamp may not fully engage here and give a good seal.
Nasty premonition here. I forgot to put in those corner pieces on the other side door. This will come into play later on.
I need to do the same thing here. This is kind of a good example. This is going to require a butyl seal right here. And so if there's no structural support here, the plywood will push down through this and possibly leak, because you really want to get a good seal in all corners as well. So I've got some corner radii to make. But other than that, the framing's done. And this thing's not going anywhere. I'm shaking the whole entire thing by grabbing onto it. So this will just be 1/2-inch plywood. And maybe I'll put laminate in or something. Probably put a sink in right here. cabinets. I don't know. This kind of cabinety stuff and everything can be done after the fact. I'm less concerned about the galley and what the galley is going to look like and getting that perfect compared to getting the interior and more importantly, the exterior, because I want to be able to put this thing outside and storage it and, well, actually use it. I can use it if the exterior is complete and the interior is incomplete. So, but I have to do the interior plywood first, I believe.
So at this point, there's not a lot of video of the interior skinning process, but I've started to put in the plywood on the inside. Now this is 1/8 inch or 5mm utility plywood, so it's relatively cheap stuff. It's reasonable to work with, actually. It wasn't too hard to get the pieces in. I did have a little bit of a fun time using rather janky setups to get the wood and everything and the pieces pushed against the wall to get the glue curing, because I wanted a really good solid connection between those pieces of wood and the member frames. So here you can see I'm putting in the first sidewall piece. Again, pretty janky little contraptions to get it connected, but hey, it worked in the end. Here is just a little bit another review. From the back side, you can see it's bowing a little bit away from the frame there. That's what I wanted to make sure I get those things connected there. So that picture was actually there to say you want to make sure that that kind of thing doesn't happen. So there's a lot of securing that went in place to get all those pieces of plywood pushed up against later on and get those things glued in together real good. Now, one thing I'd like to talk about is insulating the curves on this. Now, you can see here kind of how I've done it, but the next picture is better. Here you can see I've used a lot of foam instead of using the strips. The strips is really the way to go. You use a lot of cans of foam, and it's just tedious to get it level and all kinds of that. Just to get it nice, smooth transition so you can get the plywood right up against it. I don't recommend using just the foam. Use the foam strips like that are on the left and right. Otherwise, it'll lead you to do things like this.
But I need to do this again, and I've got some really thick foam here that I need to shave off. So I came up with a really good idea.
Yeah, and I mean a really good idea in the sense of that you should not try this at home. If you do, I take no liability. But this is why I don't recommend using excessive amounts of foam, is because it will lead you to do dumb things like what I'm doing right now. And I'm not talking about welding next to a bunch of flammable foam. That was the least of my concerns. You'll see what I mean.
Somebody's going to see this in the scrap metal pile and go, what the?
If you think that's a bunch of razor blades welded onto a piece of angle steel, well, you're right. This is exactly why this is a really stupid, dumb idea. It's great for removing excess foam off of a teardrop in quantities. It's also very good for cutting the ever-loving crap out of you if you stand it up against the wall and happen to let it fall against you. But don't be stupid and don't be like me and don't do this. But I think generally you probably agree.
I think it was a stupid idea. But it's working. It's working. Cool.
Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been video number 6 of my Teardrop trailer build series. We'll see you in build number 7 if and when I can find some material to actually put in that. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for stopping by and have a great day.